Hello and welcome, my name is Frank Fischer and this is Nibble number 2. What I would like to show you here is how I use DeepCode to learn. So what you can do with DeepCode is you can actually scan any open source repository that is kind of free to have in the internet, that is hosted on GitHub, GitLab or Bitbucket. By this you can learn a lot. I do this and this is what I want to show you now. So a typical starter for me is this trending page from GitHub. And I selected the language C++ just for the fun of it. And you can see these are the trending repositories on GitHub as of today. Might be different tomorrow. I take the first one here. Let's take Jittor just for fun. And I copy and paste this URL up here. So I copy the URL and I go to DeepCode. So this is the DeepCode homepage, deepcode.ai. And if you've never been to DeepCode, this will be a login button here. And if you log in, you will be asked to provide either a GitLab or a GitHub or a Bitbucket account. And with this, you get your own dashboard. Since I've been here before, I have my dashboard already here. So I can click on dashboard. And this brings me to the dashboard view. So these are my repositories that I have on GitHub. And what I do now is I use the search bar up here. So I copy and paste into the search bar the URL that I just copied out of GitHub. So it's the repo URL. And as you can see, it found the repo. It has this bluish text here that says Jittor. That is the repo. So if I click on this now, it pulls the repo, it analyzes it, and it gives me these results here. And now I just have a look around and see how all of these things are working and see what I can make out of it. So the first one that I clicked on now, you can see the code view. On the left side we have the code, on the right side we have more information about it. So you see we learned this from 961 projects, quite a lot. What we do in DeepCode is we're looking at open source projects and the changes they are doing. And we are trying to find out the patterns behind it to see what kind of issues they solved with this. And you see 961 projects solved an issue here. So it's quite a famous one, so to say. What you see then here is we have some flags that we were setting. We found it in line 599, and we give you some examples and how others are literally how others changed to overcome the issue that they found. So for example, this guy, they added a check for nullness into this, and this is exactly I think what we will need to have here. We'll see. Then we have some explanations. So this is like the comments they had when they checked in this. We find this in several lines here, so it's not the only occurrence. There are several more occurrences with similar suggestions. And in the whole project, we find this also several times. So there are 2 files where we find this occurrence. Okay, so what do we have here now? The result of fopen, which may return null, flows into the first argument of fclose. This could result in undefined behavior. Consider adding a check for nullness. So let's have a look at this here. So what we see is we have a file pointer. We are making an fopen on that file to write binary on it. We're doing an fwrite on the file. We're doing a flush and a close. Okay. This is all nice, but the problem on this is what happens if the file is not accessible or we are not allowed to open the file or whatnot. So obviously this can go wrong, and in the reference, I opened it here already, in the reference of fopen, you can see that the return value might be null. And if the return value is null, then we are handing over the null value to fwrite, flush, and fclose, and this is not according to the standard. We should check for nullness before we call these functions. Now, one thing that we see is this fopen is actually written in capital letters. Okay, so it's not the direct function fopen, because the function fopen would look like this. You know, it would give us the file pointer as a return value. And as you can see here, this is not the return value. This is the return value, obviously. This is the file name, and these are the flags that we have. So there needs to be a macro somewhere. And what I could do is I could simply, select this and start searching it by Control F. I find this is the search for it, and I can search in this file now. But I'm pretty sure it's up here somewhere, because in the header normally you find it, and I already kind of glanced over it here. So this is where this macro is defined, and you can see it's depending on the platform, Win32 or Win64, and then they define here, for example, they define fopen right away as we would expect it, So this macro actually defines fopen directly. Only if we have fopen fail, we have something that seems to be like a check if the result is null, and is working accordingly. Otherwise, fopen is a simple fopen that we have here. So obviously, this is a true fault, and it should be changed according to the feedback that we have here. Since they're using a macro, maybe we can even simply extend the macro code and make the macro work on it. So this is what I wanted to show you, how you can use DeepCode to look into open source repositories, see problematic suggestions that you find here, and simply follow up on them and try to find out what is behind it. It's a very nice way to learn a lot about typical issues that are in development, that happens in development. As you can see, we found it in 961 projects, so obviously it's something that happens quite often. Thanks for watching, but now it's your turn. Go to deepcode.ai and check out what DeepCode can do for your code.